Welcome back to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera. Welcome back for another episode. I hope your 2025 is kicking off strong. I know sometimes, like, when you get into a new year, there's always this, like, self-pressure to do all these things and to certainly, at least for me, I'll speak for me right now, is there's constant thought of, like, okay, what did I do last year? What didn't work? And I found myself a little bit different this year. This December, so typically, like everybody kind of shuts down like those last few days of December. And, in years past, I had always been so like hyper, like, okay, I got to sit down. I got to write down all my goals. I got to because January 1st and like I was going to like hit the ground running on January 1st. And it's so funny because this year I felt like extremely different. Like, I don't know what it was. I think it was just because I had one hell of a 2024. Like, it was just such a roller coaster of emotions from every possible direction, both personally and professionally. And I've been navigating like some health challenges, finding out some things last summer that I was not expecting that I was going to have to face. And so working with doctors and trying to get like my treatment stuff figured out. And then, going through some really crazy things in my professional world, things that like, I look back now and I'm just so grateful to God because you often hear me talk about like really being rooted in your why and being rooted in like who you are. And, I think that's so critically important because I feel like if you get into certain spaces and you don't have that as an anchor, you can easily become so consumed and so overwhelmed by other people's like thoughts and perceptions of who you are, and who you're really not. Because at the end of the day, like, most people don't really know you for real. Like, you can post on social media and people can read your bio and they can, but at the end of the day, like, most people that have an opinion about you don't even really know you. And I found myself last year, like, in all of this, like, kind of like just chaos in different settings that I just remember I would sit there and it would be like the room was moving in slow motion. And I'm looking at all these people and all these different cameras and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you can't really, you can't really be upset about things that you asked for, you prayed for, or rooms that you fought to be in. But you can step back and say, at some point, like, you know what, this is not serving what I intended for this to serve. And I found myself really in those spaces this past year of just being like super overwhelmed, but not in a way that was like, it wasn't in a way that had me like frozen, it was more so of just a reminder and confirmation that like, you know what, like, nah, like I don't, and I have the willpower and the strength that in any moment, if it's not really in alignment with who I am or what I feel like God's plan and pathway is for me, it's okay to step back and say, you know what, actually, like, no, like I'm not going to move forward in this space, or I'm not going to continue to put myself in situations that are going to cause me harm or cause my family harm or create permanent damage in a temporary season. And so I kept finding myself in 2024 constantly feeling like this hustle and bustle and having to be in very uncomfortable situations. And although it was chaotic, I am grateful for the growth. I'm grateful for, for me to be really able to see like God's like timing and him sending me like various people to reaffirm. Because I tell you what, there was so much that happened last year in different ways. And on days that it started to get really hard and really overwhelming, I remember I would just get randomly like a text message from, and it's so interesting because it's not always people that you really, really know. It was like not so many, I won't say like so many, but it was like sprinkles of people that like I barely even speak to that would just randomly like text me and just be like, like, words of encouragement, or just like, you know what, like, I don't know what's going on, but like, we got your back, or keep going, or like, you're making a difference. And it's so interesting that, sometimes we battle with like messaging people that we haven't spoken to in so long. But if God puts somebody on your heart and mind to reach out to them, and you're like fighting that, like, that's bigger than you. That's you don't know what that person is dealing with right now, and they're just looking for a sign, or they're just needing an affirmation of something to say, like, to keep going or keep fighting, or things will be better. And so when I would get those messages throughout these really hard patches of time, I just remember being like, okay, like feeling like for a second I could breathe and regroup and reset. And I'm just internally grateful, and grateful for people that have shepherded me in different ways. And I've definitely tried to give that in return, because there are days where people randomly will pop on my mind. And I don't know why. I don't know what I'm really supposed to say, but even if it's just a message like thinking about you, or, whatever the case may be, because we all need that, and I think there's a misconception. You always hear about this thing where it's like strong people need support too. Like, no, that's facts. Like, just because we're a little more emotionally reserved, that doesn't mean that there aren't days that get so hard that you just like don't feel like you have it in you to fight. And, we need that support as well. And I'm just really grateful. I remember there was a particular season and situation that was really chaotic, like so chaotic that it was not anything in my wildest dreams that I would ever think that I would have to navigate. And, just even, and it's funny because at the time, Maylin didn't even know what was going on, because she doesn't watch the news. She doesn't really like keep up much with like current events. And so my mom actually told her about some of the stuff that was happening, and she sends me a text message, and she was like, why didn't you tell me? And what's going on and what's happening? And then I was just like, you have a lot on your plate too. Like, cause I'm the type of person that like, I don't like to overwhelm other people with my burdens. Like, I don't know if that's a curse or a gift, but I'm constantly like, oh, I'll figure it out. And I think that's not always the right attitude to have, but that's the attitude that I feel like has gotten me through life. So I'm not really one to call you and tell you about my problems. I'm not really one to post to like, oh, like just all the woe. Like, that's just not me. Like, I'm really like a private person. I keep to myself for the most part. And so when things are really happening in my life, like a very small amount of people know. And that's just how I am and how I've always operated. And so in this particular situation, like my mom had mentioned something to her, and she was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So my mom like updated her. And so right away, she, if you know her, she's like right away trying to figure out how she can fix it and help me, which is why I love her so much. Which there was really nothing she could do to help or fix anything. Like, it just needed to play out. But what I will never forget is that one of the nights that it was a really hard night, and a meeting that was beyond stressful and toxic. Like she was texting me, and I told her like I couldn't talk at the time because I was in this meeting. And so like I didn't see any of her messages until it was time, like as I was leaving. So like as I'm leaving, I'm obviously checking my phone, and I'm seeing all these messages from her. And so I get out to the parking lot, and I message her back, and I'm like, I'm leaving now, like it's cool, like don't worry about it. And I look, and she's parked. She's parked in the parking lot that I'm in. And I look over at her, and I call her, and I was like, is that your car? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, I tracked you because you wasn't answering your phone. And I didn't know what was going on. And like, I figured, whatever. She got real, Inspector Gadget on me, and tracked me and figured it out. And so I was so caught off guard, because I was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, well, I didn't know what was going on, but like whatever was going on, like, you know me, I'm going to pull up. And she was like, and my brother's nearby if you need him to pull up. And it was like this whole like, and in that moment, it was just so like, I felt even though I couldn't control what was happening, I definitely felt like supported, and I felt the love. And and the same with my siblings. And one thing about my mom, like, if you don't know, my mom holds me down. Like, she does not play about me. Her and my sisters and my brother, like, they don't play about me, and I don't play about them. So it's definitely like an energy that, anytime something is going on with one of my siblings, like, I'm front row. Like, there was an issue not too long ago with my brother. Like, I hopped on a plane the same day. It was not even a question. And I was with him by that same evening. If one of my sisters is not feeling well or whatever the case may be, like, you don't even have to ask. Like, if we're in the same city, I'm definitely going to pull up. My other sister, if she needs something for one of her kids, like, it's just what we do. And I'm so grateful to God that, those are the kind of dynamics and relationships that we have grown into, because it wasn't always like that, but certainly it was something that, I wanted, and I've been intentional about growing it and trying to be there for them. And they have reciprocated that. And so I share this with you because I found myself like in this fight or flight all 2024. And I was like, I really, by the time the holiday season came about, I was just so tired. I was just so mentally and physically drained from the year, from stuff that was happening in one professional setting, other fires that was happening in other professional settings, my personal life, my health, the kids, just so many things. And I just found myself, around that holiday season saying like I don't even have the energy to do like the whole holiday thing, like with the gifts and the decorating and just everything that I typically like am so excited to do. I just wanted to sit in the house. Like, I wanted to just close off the world. I wanted just to like eat all the good snacks and just watch movies and just like for a moment pause the world around me. And I'm really grateful that I got to do that, because it gave me the opportunity to reflect in a deeper way of like, Christina, this was a crazy year. 2024 was a crazy, crazy year. And I asked myself, like, what are you doing next year? Like, what's 2025 looking for you? And even though you can't control a lot of the external factors, there are certain things you can control. And whatever those things are, that's what you need to focus your energy on. Like, what can you control to make things better or to make things different for the new year that was approaching? And I found myself making some really big decisions in those latter weeks of 2024 that it wasn't easy for me to make, but certainly I knew it was the right thing for me, for my physical and mental health, and for the people that really love me at the end of the day. And so certainly decided I will be scaling back majorly in 2025 from anything that's not completely locked into what I believe my purpose in life is. So excuse me. So that was something that I was able to really have the moment and the time, and I still don't have it all figured out. So and I didn't even hit the ground running January 1st, or like that first week of January, because it's also cold and it's like 10 degrees outside and it's gray, and it's just like maybe like this new wave of like these things that I want to do, it might need to be like 60 outside or something. I don't know. But I'm putting less pressure on myself and feeling like I have to have everything figured out right away. Like, it's like something that will come over time, something that I will figure out over time. But no longer feeling the need to like put so much pressure and having everything planned out in 2020, like for the new year. So right now I'm really wrapping up what, I want to be able to achieve and how I want to be able to navigate things. And so just taking it one day at a time. And I think that is something that I want to be able to offer you today, is like, don't feel like you have to have every single thing planned out. There are 12 months in a year. There's on average 28 to 31 days in a month. Find the time and the frequency that matches you, for where you are, where you want to go, how you want to live, because life will continue to happen, whatever you put on your little vision board or your prayer board, like those are the things that you are striving for. But we also have to be realistic with the expectation that life is still happening. So there are things that happen in 2024 that were absolutely not on my vision board. Was like if I had known what half of 2024 was gonna bring, I just would have canceled the whole year. I just would have went back in the house, and I would have said, yeah, you know what? No. And, you know how you see those memes where people are calling God, like, I just want to make sure I'm not on the like strongest woman list because I'm not interested in that. That's how I felt about 2024. I was not interested in a lot of the things that I had to navigate. However, even though those were not things that I wanted to navigate, I do believe that, you come out stronger in some cases, not always. Sometimes you come out on the end of it and you really feel like you got your ass beat. I feel like I got my ass beat in some cases. And now I'm more so like I'm tired. So like, don't call me for 20,000 things. Like, so don't always feel like there's like this big, profound rainbow at the end of the struggle. That's always not the case either. Like sometimes you go through some really bad things and you've been impacted. Your mental health, your physical health. Like I've had more tests come back last year that have told me things about my body that I was like not prepared to process. And so I say all that to say, like, don't feel like we're all designed to go through this struggle and we're suddenly going to be like these warriors. Like, yes, you're going to have some badges and you're going to have some scrapes, but it comes to a point where you have to ask yourself, like, are you going to become stuck there? Am I going to become stagnant? Am I going to alter who I am and, my perception? And, no, I'm not gonna fold, my whole life because I had, a challenging year. And you may have had a challenging life, right? Many of us have had a lot of traumatic things happen over our lives, and you get to the point you're just like, damn, like when is it gonna be my turn? When am I gonna have a break? When am I gonna be able just to like, relax? Like, I don't know. And I don't have an answer for you on when that could happen because there's no crystal ball on when this will happen. But what I can say is you every day you continue to put your best foot forward. Every day you have the choice to decide, I can't control the things that happen around me, but I can choose my reaction. I can choose to, how I allow it to impact me and how I show up in spaces with other people. And it doesn't make it easy, and I will never downplay someone's trauma or somebody's lived experience. So I recognize, but I think there's power in really taking the time to reflect on what has happened in your journey, what went good, what went bad, where there's some contributing factors that you're able to identify that you like, listen, whatever I do, I don't ever want to do this again. So taking the time to really sit with that, and it's still early, it's the top of the year. And so, already I've made some really big decisions this year that have, I believe will elevate some of the professional chaos and, instability that I've experienced over the years. But that doesn't mean there won't be something else, right? That doesn't mean that there won't, because, I told you all before, like, I got one kid that's really trying me. So we're going to see, we're going to put that on the prayer board to see if she gets her life together. So, I go from fighting into boardrooms, courtrooms to go fight in my house. So there's never a moment where there's not going to be something, but getting to a space of saying, I'm not going to let it consume my entire life. Like, I'm not going to allow it to rob me of my peace. And I think that was where, for me, when I start to evaluate what has to go, what disturbs my peace, who disturbs my peace, whether it's your child, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your employer, the people you work with. I think once you get to a space of saying, like, I'm not willing to compromise my peace, that's where I believe you take your power back and you're able to say, listen, regardless of what has happened to me, I still got to make it shake. I still got to do what I need to do. And if you are going to alter or rob me of my peace, then that's just too expensive. And quite frankly, that's where I'm at with it. And so, I'm actually excited that my co-host was able just to join us this afternoon. And Maylin and I have been talking to people about, just the reflection of 2024 and recognizing that, you typically in years past, like the end of the year is always this like build up to like, okay, the new year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I was like, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to have a seat. I want to eat some snacks because the year was so heavy and it was so much. And I didn't feel like I had the energy to like take the new year by storm. But then I asked myself, I was like, why do you feel like you need that energy? Like you could, it's one day at a time. It's one bite at a time. And so just sharing with the folks that I didn't come into 20, like I'm not, now that doesn't mean I didn't have a goal sheet. Maylin will tell you we did
a bunch of goal sheets.
we did have our annual check-in on January 1st to talk about the goals for the year. But I think it was really critically important because I still feel like you have to have intention. You still have to have structure. You still have to be able to have something you're aiming towards, but certainly not feeling like you got to do everything week one, day one. It's about the pace. It's about, eliminating some of the things that maybe have gotten in the way of what you want to achieve and accomplish so that you can make room for the people and the things that you want to make priority.
I came in laughing because, life happens and you have to pivot. But I came in and you were just saying so many great things. I almost fell out. I'm like, oh my gosh. What I appreciate about this conversation is that in the past, we always so gung-ho about the new year. And sometimes we're like, oh, I cannot wait for this year to just be over so then I can just start fresh in 2025 or whenever the next year is. But this year, 2024 was different in so many different levels for you and a whole different level. I mean, for me too. And what I recognize is I was just so thankful that I survived 2024. That if people ask me, what is your biggest accomplishment? I will say I still have my breathing child, okay? My child is healthy and, we have a roof on our heads. Our businesses are well. Can things be better? Of course, but they're well. And we survive. And there were so many lessons learned. Mm-hmm. To your point of it's not rainbows, because I wasn't looking at rainbows at the Christmas break. I was looking at, oh my goodness, right? Like you have to reflect on what went well, what could have been better, what did you have control over that you just, I'm going to speak for myself that I didn't do, right? Like what did you have control over that you chose not to do? Because it's a choice. Nobody put a gun in my head. And then what did I learn from that? Mm-hmm. Because if I go into 2025 or the next year, whenever you're listening to this, with the mentality of a victim, then I'm not gonna do anything because I'm blaming everybody and their mama but me. And I had to start not blaming me, but acknowledging my part on things because it's not a blame. Right. I'm not shaming myself, but I am acknowledging and I am aware.
Accountability.
Yeah. Like, listen, like, okay, what part did you have on this? Well,
now that you mention it.
Anyways, I had a lot of parts. She's so annoying. I had a lot of parts in certain things, right? And I acknowledged it and I did what I had to do, but then just really taking a moment to rest because as leaders, we never stop to rest because we just want to time is so limited that we want to do so many things and then we lack the most important thing, which is rest. Yeah. So I wrote, rest in recovery, rest in progress, rest while you achieve, rest while you thrive. And that has always been a struggle for me, like rest. Now I have no choice, but I have to force myself. I have to rest because I'm so tired sometimes as a new mom. But as you are building and you are reflecting on what your last year was, I hope you took the time to rest. I hope you took the time to really acknowledge what went well, what could have been better, where you were accountable on some of the things that happened, where you had no control. And just letting go what you had no control of. There's some things that we just didn't have control.
Right.
Like these things happen out of our hands and it happened, it sucked, and then you learn and you move on. And that's where we are now. 2024 is over. I don't know where you are. It's what is it today, the 17th?
Yeah.
2024 is over. So talking about what happened, what could have happened is a waste of time. So now we're going to focus on today and the future, right? So right now, as we got to rest, we got to reflect. Now, I mean, and the sun is out today. Let me tell you, I was telling Dalton this as I walked up. I didn't realize how much the sun affects me. The lack of sun affects me. Like, I'd be like, man, what's wrong? Like, I just got some new vitamins today. I literally ordered this whole thing.
Oh, you got the vitamins?
I did. Oh, God. What a story. I finally, they were drop off.
Oh, good.
So I got this vitamins. I got this whole regimen because I started to notice my energy depleting. And, like, I'm usually an Energizer bunny. I can go. I don't, you know me. I couldn't get off from bed. I couldn't do certain things. And I'm like, what is the problem? So part of my reflection and learning about myself is that during the winter, when there is no sun, my body reacts to it because we work from home. We work inside a building many times. So I had to do some research and find some vitamins to hopefully help me. And then realize that, okay, if the sun is not here today, is there a light? I learned about a light you can get to put in your house or wherever you work to help you with that lack of sun energy. So, but today I'm like beamy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look at my hair. It's like, look at this ponytail. Like life is really thriving today. But why is it? Because the sun is out. The sun is out. Isn't that insane?
It's true. There is seasonal depression. I've even heard that, because my sister was telling me that she feels the same way. She feels less productive in the winters. And that's why she, quote unquote, wants to possibly move out of state. She wants to move somewhere that's like sunny year round because she feels like so like just depleted during the winter times here.
Oh, I mean, and it started making sense because at first I was like, something is wrong. Like, we're getting worried. I'm like, something is wrong. I feel like I'm not getting anything done. This is not normal in me. So after a lot of conversations and figuring it out, I nail it down. Okay. So now I'm taking my vitamins. I'm trying to like incorporate some things to help me because guess what? The winter is here for some of us that live in this awesome weather, and we still have to accomplish things. We still have to get through our goals. So yes, so I guess with that, I would say find out what's your obstacle, what's your challenge, because sometimes you think you're being lazy, sometimes you think it's a lack of your action, but really it's something in your body biologically happening and you don't even know, right? That's affecting you. So you want to narrow it down to see what it is so then you can get support and then you can move forward and then you don't spend, because then it's like a spiraling thing. You start dwelling on it, then you start not figuring out what is wrong, and then before you know it, you lost a whole lot of time just trying to cope with what's happening and had no support, no help. Right. So today I feel really excited that we're doing this because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a eye-opening thing for me. And I hope, right, next time we share with you guys in our next episodes, like how has been working. So I'm going to be testing the vitamins to see how they help. I also incorporated, right, so talking about goals. And yes, you don't have to do everything, but you do have to have intention, like Christina said. So actually, if you look at the YouTube video, you will see I have my agenda and I color coded. So I have like colors on it and I have a key in the front of it and it tells me what every color is. And the purpose for me is one, to check off, because it's psychologically endorphins, right? Like check off when I do things, but also kind of see where my time is going. Because sometimes I can say, I'm very passionate about this. I'm really willing to do this. And then I look at my calendar, I'm like, yeah, but you didn't have that. You didn't do that. So for me, I'm a visual person. So it's been a really good thing to see where exactly
you're spending your time.
Where am I spending my time? And am I investing my time in things that bring me joy and are helping me to get closer to my goals?
Yeah, I love that. No, I agree. I think it's because you can have so many goals for yourself, but if you don't have like a system, and you're very big on systems, you've always been very big on like an operational procedure. And I think the color coding and all that definitely makes sense because I think those are things that our day can go so quickly. Like you don't even know, like you're like, what did I do today? And so I'm also like Maylin. I like to write things down. I check things off. And certainly am very big on just having those visual cues of like, what did I get done today? What did I miss? What do I need to get done tomorrow? And so certainly I think those checklists are definitely important. A planner, if you're one of those people that like to use planners, like definitely go out, get you a planner today, or, dust the one. Because if you already have a planner and you haven't used it, like the dates might be wrong, but like the the tool
Use that
itself,
one.
still use it. Yeah, still use it. Because I think that is critically important to figuring out what works best for you. So us being able to kind of draft out our goals for 2025, and we just did some SMART goals with our team as well. And so if you run a business or you lead a team, or even if you don't necessarily lead a team, but you're on a team, I think it's critically important too to spend some time as a team identifying like what are your goals as a team for the year, because I think that also helps, as Maylin mentioned, accountability. If you have a team or you're on a team, being able to create some kind of visual to really track your progress, I think also helps kind of fuel you on days that you feel like you're not getting anything done, because it really could serve as the opposite. It's like, no, look at all the stuff you did do.
Right. That's why I love that,
Yeah.
actually. That's a secret reason why.
So it's not like I didn't do anything. It's like, no, I checked off all these things. It's, quarter one, quarter two, like what did I hit my goal? And then if I didn't hit my goal, well, that's okay. Let me carry it over to the next month or to the next
day.
Yeah, right. Depending on what the goal is. So certainly, yeah. So I hope your 2025 is starting off strong.
But even, can I add something? Even with family, so we talk about business a lot, but a lot of the things that we talk about can really apply to families. So even let's say you like, well, I'm not, I'm a stay-home mom, which let me tell you, you're an MVP. If you do that, God bless you. I just want to send you flowers where you live. If you are even, if you're not doing a business outside of the house or whatever it is, you still have a household.
Yeah.
Even if it's a one-person household and a bird, like, right, I was for a while, you still should have goals.
Yeah.
So maybe like still sit with your family, still sit with yourself. If you have siblings and maybe you want to have an overall family goal, I feel like that is still something that all of this you can apply to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I was telling them earlier in the episode, just sharing with them about like the family dynamics and my siblings and my mom. And I told them about the story of you pulling up to one of my meetings where you were in the parking lot.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, because I agree with you. I think that, creating intention and a process for your personal life is just as important as anything you'll do professionally. Because if your whole house is in disarray, like not even just like literally, but like if your relationships with your spouse, with your children, with your mom or whomever, if all of that is not where you would define as healthy and successful, it is going to be challenging for you to be able to navigate any other kind of momentum and success professionally.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, are you willing to risk everything that you love for, something that you are chasing, professionally? And I think there's no easy answer to that. There's no balance, I believe, in one or the other. But I think there is, being able to spend the time you need to identify what is priority and, what's not does help a little bit with, trying to navigate your personal life and your professional aspirations.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do. I love that we have a plan. I think your whole family's like, who's going to be there? That's what I love about your family. Because in one of your meetings, your mom and I showed up.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was telling them, I was like, my mom don't play about me as like my sibling. Like, but we don't play about each other either. So it's just, I was telling them that earlier. And I'm grateful for that. It's not something I take for granted. And certainly, I know that some people have lost parents and some people have lost siblings. And certainly those are really meaningful relationships if you've been blessed to have a positive experience, because I know that is not positive for every single person. But God willing, we have strong moms and we have active moms.
And family members, because our family members would show.
Oh, for sure.
Like my family member would show for you.
Oh, I know. I love him to death. Like, as a brother.
To life.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've literally saw in threads where people were arguing about me online, and my sister is in the comments arguing with people, and I had to text her. I was like, "Don't stop arguing." She's like, "No, they act like they know you." I'm like, "But they don't know me, and they don't. So I don't want people looking for you. Like, it's fine, So yeah, I love the dynamics that we have with our families and with each other. And certainly it's a gift. And certainly, I know that's not the case for every single person, but recognizing that if you do have that, nurture that. And if you don't have that, like that can happen. You can build that.
Yeah. And that's my thing. Like I wish that for people. I really wish that for people because I can see how difficult navigating life can be, So and our more episodes, we'll share more about how you build that. Because I think sometimes what I have learned lately, if people are having a hard time building that.
Yeah.
So I
We're going
think
to talk
we
about
can help.
that.
How do we do that?
I love that, which is a great transition. So thank you for tuning in here. As always, we love the opportunity to connect and certainly hope that this episode left you better than how we may have found you when you first tuned in. So we look forward to connecting you on our future episode. But in between time, remember, it's bigger than you.
Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.